Alex here with a legal nuts and bolts video on jurisdiction being divested. This is a highly technical topic, and for a long time I thought about it, but I wasn't going to do it because I try to avoid really technical legal topics because I know my audience is people trying to represent themselves that haven't even really figured out some of the basics yet. So something like this can be really hard to understand. But there is something that I realize is eventually some people here might actually file an appeal. And one of the things that people need to know is what happens if you need to bring up other issues while your appeal is pending. And this happens a lot. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and cover this. In Nevada, when an appeal is filed, that notice of appeal, that first paper that you file in the district court or the justice court, once that is filed, the district court is divested of jurisdiction. What that means is, and there's case law that talks about it, what that means is the district court has been stripped of its authority to make any rulings in your case until it receives something known as the remitter from the Supreme Court. The remitter is like a certification or like a receipt saying, okay, the transaction is closed up here. You can go ahead and take, the reins over this case again. The reason, there are some things that people need to know though. This is just based on Nevada law, so please look at your own state before you just go along with everything I'm saying, because it may be different in other states. If you have, and this has happened to me because I've done quite a few appeals, things will come up while your appeal is pending, and you'll need rulings on those new issues. You need to look at the case law. Please don't just believe everything I'm saying because the law can change. But at the time that I'm doing this, my understanding of the case law is that if your issue that you're bringing to the court is not connected to any of the issues that are being appealed, the court can make a decision on that issue. So for example, I won an appeal on costs. So I was appealing an order denying costs. In that case, I believe I had a few other things that I needed to bring up regarding child custody or education. I can't remember now. All I know is that I needed the court to make some rulings on different motions while my appeal was in the Supreme Court. I was able to do this, and the court understood it because the court, either read the law or knows that since these issues have nothing to do with what Mr. Falcone is appealing, I can go ahead and rule on these now. Now, you can still possibly get a ruling on an issue that is being appealed, but you have to follow a special procedure called the Hunnicutt Procedure. And I'm not going to explain what that is, but I will at least give you the name of it. So if you're in Nevada, you can go into scholar.google.com and look up the Hunnicutt Procedure and figure out if you need to get jurisdiction back down to your family court so that a ruling could be made on that issue. Sometimes the Supreme Court doesn't allow it, sometimes they do, especially if it resolves the appeal, because the Supreme Court's all about having less work to go over. So I just need people to know this because it is definitely going to come back to bite people, especially if you get a new judge who doesn't know anything about appeals and they won't know that they're divested of jurisdiction. Or sometimes they know a little bit, so they'll know they're divested of jurisdiction, but they'll refuse to make a ruling on your child custody issue, which is not even being appealed on, because they won't know about that. So at this point, I can imagine some people out there are going to file an appeal here or there, and you need to know that there are some quirks that come into play when you want the family judge. And again, this is a legal nuts and bolts video, so it applies to non-family cases. That your judge, your district judge, or your justice of the peace, you might need some decisions made on something, and this is kind of everything in a nutshell for you. Hopefully it's not too confusing. At least you know that there are answers to these kinds of questions. I do want to bring up another thing. If you file, this is just about appeals. If you file a writ petition, an extraordinary writ, for like mandamus or prohibition or certiorari or whatever. There's a bunch of writ petition, different types of writs out there. My understanding is that does not divest the district court or the justice of the peace of jurisdiction. They can continue to make rulings while that writ petition is pending. This video isn't going to cover stays. Stays, you can ask for a stay in your case, and that's a whole other topic. I might get into that someday, I might not. With that, I'll go ahead and end this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Hopefully I can give you a clear answer. With that, see you guys next time.